All right, well, welcome Team ET. We've got another fantastic week and it's great to have you with us as usual. And you're probably sick of me saying this by now, but an extremely interesting guest joining us today and a very interesting topic, I have to say. We're going to be talking about your three brains. I'm not sure how many of you realize you have three brains, but we're going to be delving into that with our guest. And Christoffel Sneijders, welcome to the ET Project. Great to have you here, and I look forward to our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Wayne. It's a great honor because I watched your show. Yeah, I listened to your show actually. I like it, so I thought when we got somebody invite and we could connect, I thought, yes, because I know your audience is the audience that likes to achieve, that likes to live, that likes to learn, that likes to expand. And dares to step out of, say, their comfort zone of what is normal, or what is, in my words, old science. So, pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you. And for the listeners, you may not be able to pick up on the accent, but Christoffel is sitting in what we were just talking about before I hit record, probably one of my favorite cities of all time, anywhere in the world, Madrid. For me, that is the pinnacle of where I would like to retire one day. It's such a fantastic environment. There's so much there, right? I mean, you've got the history, you've got the ambience, you've got the culture, the people, not to mention the food, of course.
Food and drinks, yes, that's where the Spanish people almost live for.
Absolutely.
As they say in Italy, la dolce vita. Life is beautiful, and in Spain you also like to live that one.
Right. So, which part of Madrid are you based in? Like, Madrid's not huge as a city, but what area in particular? Like north, south, east, or west?
So I'm a little bit, say, east of Retiro Park. So I'm in there, say, in like almost every city you have multiple highway rings.
Yes.
So in the inner highway ring, we're still inside that. So we are really in Madrid, you could say. 3 kilometers to Retiro Park.
Right.
It's on the corner of Salamanca. Real Salamanca is where you really have to have a lot of euros to buy an apartment. We're just on the edge of it, so it's still quote unquote affordable to Spanish norms, but
right.
Madrid is extremely expensive. But the beauty of Madrid, for people who doesn't know it, that there's 10,000 bars and cafes. So it's impossible to walk 3 streets and not finding a cafe. And the beauty of cafes is, I don't know if you can right away detect my age. Yeah? In the old times, you had Cheers. The soap series Cheers, where everybody knows your name. Now,
yes.
The beauty of Madrid is if you go somewhere, they're always friendly. They always say hi to you. You're not, you feel, although maybe you are an expert, but you always feel at home here. They're not biased from, hey, where you're coming from. If they ask where you're coming from, it's always from interest, not from another kind of thing. That's the beauty. Besides, I will not make it, but the prices for a beautiful tapas, the prices for a beautiful drink are also extremely affordable. So that part of cost of living is also amazing.
And of course, there's the traditional rivalry that seems to exist in many countries, the rivalry between Madrid and Barcelona, mainly within the football teams, but it's not only the football, it's the cities as well. The Catalonians versus the people of Madrid, and yeah, so it's an interesting environment to exist in, and such a wonderful country overall. So yeah, very envious of you and all of my colleagues that are sitting over there listening to us. What's the time? It's morning time as we speak, I guess, right?
It's 1:45. In the afternoon, but say. That's for Spanish still early. As you know, the life here starts later and ends later.
Yes, yeah. So
the typical lunch is here at 2 or 3 o'clock. Now,
right.
Just to mention the typical lunch 2 or 3 o'clock, and then you take 1 hour for lunch.
Fantastic. And nighttime, I can remember maybe my last visit was going out for a drink after dinner, and that was around midnight. And for me, you can probably see by my grey hair, I'm not the youngest person anymore. So that's.
I still remember one of my first times was in Madrid, and I went out with a friend and with her parents to see something like their second house outside Madrid. They said, "Oh, we go in the afternoon." The afternoon meant they left at 6. So I'm Dutch with my dad and lived in Australia. So with my mind is dinner time, 6 o'clock.
Yes, yes.
So, we came back and we had dinner at 10 in the evening. And that was my first experience. I thought from dinner at 10:30 in the evening. Everybody in Australia is already in their bed. In Holland, you think about going to your bed, and then you go. What you say, you have dinner. And after they say, "Oh, let's have a drink."
Yeah.
And really, in that moment, still remember in my Dutch mind, Australian mind, that's like, shouldn't we work tomorrow? Yeah, we work tomorrow, but we don't start as usual at 6 or 7 o'clock.
So you've obviously lived and worked in multiple locations around the world. I mean, as you say, much living in Spain, you've lived in Australia. How do you find the different cultures and adjusting to life within these different areas? Is it something that you find easy to accommodate, or is it challenging?
They always say the Dutch, just like the Chinese, you can find them everywhere. The big difference is that you don't find Dutch so quickly because they're extremely easy in integration in the community.
Right.
The Dutch are tradesmen, so they adapt.
Yes.
When I look at myself, because that's easy to talk about that. Yes, you have a different culture. In Holland, as I think everybody knows, we call a spade, and we really call a spade.
Yes.
And so we define honesty of saying what we think. And all the other cultures think that's right and rude. And we say, no, at least you know what you get from us. What you see is what you get. In Australia, they say the same, although that's not the same. They call a spade there sometimes a spade. So you have that adjustment. What I came aware, and that's a huge difference in different countries. Netherlands, just like Spain, is a country that exists already thousands of years. So it has an ingrained culture of some millennia. In Australia, it's a culture of 200 years.
Yes.
So it's maximum 5 or 6 generations, and 50% of the population is first or second generation immigrant. And you find a different culture there in general, that people still are there in their survival mode and make it mode. Yeah, so they're much more, in my words, competitive, making it happen for themselves. So if they need you, they call you. If they don't need you, they don't call you back. And that was for me always a shock in the Netherlands. Was if you don't like to do business with somebody, you just call back and say, "Sorry, Wayne, not going to do business. We chose somebody else."
Yes.
In Australia, you will call me 10 times. I would never pick up the phone anymore. I just ghost you. So that was for me really a shock.
Yes.
In Spain, it's less, but they are say what they love to say, mañana. And they're less right on the ball, except in soccer. They're extremely quick in soccer. They won the national league again from Croatia and this weekend.
Right.
But in business, they are say more tranquilo, more at ease. Yes. And that makes also a difference. Because then you have to become aware that if you say, okay, let's do it today, that everybody almost looks at you with eyes from today. Yeah, we still have 2 hours. People look at you, we still have 2 hours. Yeah, we can make it happen. Yeah, but you can also just think about it and go on tomorrow. And then in your Dutch brain, you say, huh? Why tomorrow? So those are the typical differences you see. Having said that, as you said in Spain, Spain is an amazing country. Yeah, you have beautiful weather. In Spain, they live to live. In Holland, you live to work. In Australia, it's a little bit in between. And so it has its differences. What I find in general, if you go to the business world, you see a lot of generalities about, say, getting your targets done, getting your things done, and getting your stuff done. Although, say, I would say, if you look, say, in the way how to conduct business and how you get your meetings, it's a little bit different. And Australia is a little bit more the American approach. Spain is a little bit in between approach of directness.
Right.
but business-wise, it is there. But the only thing, and maybe you know it, when we talk about red tape, you know the language, how governments like to provide, actually stop you of doing the things you like to do as a business owner. In Australia, it's rather strict. In Spain, they have, I would say, more rules. Not everybody follows the rules, but there are more rules. So there are also more regulations and more people who check it. So it's a little bit, say, also that part slow. So if you fill out your own tax form, in Australia, you just fill it out in your own booking system, you do a click. It's uploaded to the government, and before you know, you've done a payment, they collect your money. In Spain, you still have to submit 2 or 3 forms. You also have to pay, but you have to submit more forms, more things, more checks, more regulations. So, and of course, in Holland, it's extremely organized. You almost don't have to fill out your own forms already filled out for you. You just have to check if it's okay. So, those are generals.
It's a really interesting comparison, and I haven't heard the 3 countries compared before, but that's really fascinating. We'll talk more about coaching in the future in our conversation, but as coaches, international coaches, these are some of the challenges that we need to deal with when we're speaking with our clients. So what's your background within the career space? Maybe you can introduce yourself through your career and what you're doing now.
Yeah, of course. I'm almost experienced as you in years, Wayne. So now I started off, say, I'm the typical guy who has a wide and broad of interest, and also in my knowledge part. So after my high school, they just advised me to do commercial engineering. You ever had for math, for physics, all that kind of stuff, just do it and you get a job easily. So I just followed the advice at 22. I stepped into in software engineering because I don't know it's with you, but I was 22, I could get a car. So I thought, okay, where should I sign? And then I asked, what should I actually do here? You're going to make software. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, I came aware that's not my real passion, although I would say I was rather good at it. Went into marketing, and I came aware when I was marketing manager and I was having some people in my team, but actually I loved getting a team great and happy. And I said, Chris, you're the first manager of us who really listens to us and goes with us and is interested in us.
Right.
And I didn't have a real education for being a manager, besides you have a university degree. And I thought, and I still remember that I was something like 27. I thought, isn't that normal that you have interest in your own people? Apparently not. Now, a couple of years later, after, say, I really joined, say, when I was 31, the #1 training and coaching company in Europe on that moment. And they were, say, the McKinsey of the coaching and the training world. And I really came into my passion and got massive training from them in coaching and training. Worked there for 9 years, became senior partner, hit a burnout because I thought that working 60, 70 hours a week, doing your sports, getting a divorce, getting your own business done, that a lack of sleep is normal. And somewhere it's not. I came aware there's a limitation, and I started my own company. And then, the moment I started to learn more, I thought I worked already 9 years as an executive coach and leadership trainer, done a lot of behavioral training. So what am I missing? And I joined into, say, somatic training, NLP, all kinds of things. What am I missing? But I was learning a lot. Say, I always had something like, what is more? Because I always had the question, who is in charge of us? Because if you read the average books or you listen to all the gurus, it's about you go to the NLP schools, your thoughts are master. You go to the gurus nowadays, I will not know names, otherwise it's not nice to say, master your mind and master your body. Your thoughts can create epigenetics, all that kind of stuff. And I always thought, yeah, your thoughts can be in charge, but if you read about trauma, because I also became in that time some therapist when I moved to Australia, then your body can remember a traumatic experience, although emotionally, mentally, you're over it. Hey, you've done CBT, you know that you were, I know, bullied or something else, but your body still says that itchy feeling. Then I thought, so your mind is not in control because your body is in control. Now, if you read the book of Peter Levine, and now the book of Bessel called The Body Keeps the Score, it's just proven it's true. So I asked all those kind of people, okay, who's in charge of us? And most of us did not know it until I read the book of Peter Levine after I did the scores. And it came aware that Ivan Jankovic, already in the 40s, wrote about the gut is actually our core, and our heart and our head are actually subdivisions of it. Just needed to get everything in control. And I read it and thought, that's interesting. And I followed also NLP, Robert Dilts and Joe Dispenza, and all those kind of gurus. And I thought, maybe I could make the connection that maybe our heart and our head and our gut are our brain. And then you start researching, and there's a book written by Michael Gertrude, The Second Brain, in the 90s, where he scientifically proved the gut is a brain, 500 million brain cells. They become aware of research of Dr. Amour, who wrote also in the 90s, a research document, the heart is a brain. They become aware of heart math, and you think, how on heaven's earth is this possible? Our gut is a real brain. Our heart is a real brain. And the only thing you hear in neuroscience is the thing in between our ears. And you hear me stopping. I'm still sometimes puzzled when I talk about people who say, yeah, but neuroscience only talks about the thing in our head, Chris. Are you sure the other ones are brains? And I almost like to slap them and say, do your freaking research, just Google it. And you find the scientific proofs. Science proves it. And that really opened my world 6-7 years ago. I thought, that, of course, if that's true, it means we have answers on the question when people say, follow your heart, follow your gut. But we also have answers why things sometimes are so hard. I don't know if it's with you, when they say lunch is here in 2 hours, and stop me if you want, but you're hungry. When you're hungry, you go to the fridge. Your head says, okay, I look at my six-pack. That's not really a six-pack anymore. Let's go for a salad. You open your fridge and see actually the leftovers from yesterday. Some pizza, some cheesecake, maybe some chocolate, some wine, and you see your salad. Most people will walk away not with the salad. Although logically they said, I take a salad, something inside them said, yeah, skip the salad. Do that for dinner or tomorrow, just go for the cheesecake. Yeah. Who is then in charge of you? It's not that all those freaking gurus set your head. It's actually your body in charge. Then say your body's in charge. Who's in body? Actually, your gut brain is at that moment in charge. It just says, I need food now. I need a lot of energy now. Let me see. A salad has almost no energy. Cheesecake, pizza, or lasagna, or whatever your leftover is, has a lot of energy. Okay, let's go for it now. And as your gut brain does not know tomorrow or yesterday, so it doesn't do cause and effect analysis, it will never say, hey, you lost your six-pack, and just say, I need it now. Because you don't know how much energy you need in half an hour. So take it all. Now, if you think about that concept and you put it in your personal life, but also your business life, the rules get a totally different insight, because then all that toxic leadership becomes explainable. Yeah. All those other things about chronic diseases become explainable, as Dr. Gabor Mate says and writes about in his book, When the Body Says No. And at that moment, that's why I'm loving to be here, and thank you for letting me finish. Everybody should know this, because it can change our world really amazingly.
Right. You have gone into the heart of it here. You wrote a couple of books, right? I think the first one was 2019, and you released another one just this year, right? And essentially talking about the three brains. I think the first one was How Men and Women Fit, and then the most recent one is Relationships, Which Brain is Talking. And in that, in both of them, you're exploring this three brain concept. So I wonder if we can unpack it a little bit further. You've started to unpack. Traditionally, as you said, and even in neuroscience, we talk about our head brain. And, we're brought up through education, through life, always referring to the one brain. And now science and medical research is also proving that there are these other brains within our physiological self, not just our psychological self. And so I think it's a really fascinating area of research and discussion. And you've probably done more than most in this area, and your two books support that. So I'm just wondering, like if the typical leader today was listening to us talking about three brains, my question, if I was that person, would be, okay, even if that's true, what's the value of it for me to know? So how do I use this knowledge? What's the benefit that it brings me?
It's a beautiful and extremely important question you ask, Wayne, because what's in it for me? That's the most important question that most leaders, also most people ask. Because when I teach leaders or coaches three-brain coaching, as I forgot in my whole enthusiasm, I'm an MCC executive coach. MCC is an ICF standard of Master Certified Coach. So being a visiting professor at the business school, I always say it helps you to become aware how you really can motivate people and how you can get them engaged and how you can let them learn in a way they're there. Most research, and the Gallup organization released it recently, their research, there's an increase of disengagement in the workplace from 30% to 40% in the last decade. So we write more and more books about engagement and motivation, and more gurus stand up and say, follow me and follow this and follow that. And engagement levels are dropping. Now, you don't have to be a research professor to say, okay, so then probably there's somewhere a mismatch happening. If we all follow those MBAs and those gurus and our engagement is dropping, then probably we're barking up the wrong tree. And so what do you learn about it? And when we approach things logically, we use our head brain. So when you like to get people in action, we have to understand it. We have to understand why it's happening. So the logic is there. But as I said, with the salad and the cheesecake or the pizza, logic does not override our inner system. Because your gut brain is always the last one who says yes or no. He has really the veto right.
Okay.
It's China, Russia, and America on the same moment in the United Nations Council. It's stronger than the three of them. But your gut brain has one massive responsibility: keeping yourself alive. It has a lust for life. And by keeping yourself alive, it takes care of you. So you could also say it's the egocentric brain that just takes care of me. It's the brain that takes care of you. So when there is a fire in a stadium, you run out as the first and you forget, say, the people who are sitting next to you because you don't know them. But you will take care of your own kids and your own wife, but they're yours. They're also the Olympic medal winner because I win, you lose. But it's also the one who creates toxic leadership because it's my team, my success, my promotion. And if I have to sack you, I don't care. Knowing that and knowing what the preference of a person is in, say, their normal state, how they make decisions, you can come aware, hey, how's their leadership style? If you think about the heart releases oxytocin also. Oxytocin, the love hormone, is the bonding hormone. When we are born, we're totally helpless. We would not survive 2 days without a mom, dad, or caregivers. Our biggest fear in life is actually rejection. Because if we would be rejected from day one we're born, we're dead. So our bonding need is massively. That's where your heart is responsible for. Although in our educational systems, it's almost not educated. Boys should be boys, we don't cry. That's gut brain behavior. Girls should be girls and sweet, heart brain behavior. In the most MBAs, it's about survival of the fittest. It's all about competition, and so we train the gut brain massively. So in the workforce, you see that people are trained to be me, myself, and I, instead of us in the team. If you start knowing that, you come aware, hey, how can I coach people? Because everybody's a preference. Eh? You filled out yesterday our 3-brain score. And if it's allowed to share your score, Wayne.
Please go for it. I was going to ask you anyway, by all means.
Okay, so no, but then I use you say as a guinea pig here. And your heart-brain score was 41. Your head-brain score was 38, and your gut-brain score was 26. And of course, it's not you. It's a photo of the whole person, Wayne. We cannot say you are. That's not. But your preference in choosing is actually you choose for people, you choose for logic, and last you choose, say, me, myself, and I. Yeah, so if I would make a generalization without knowing you too much, you would say, you take care of your team in your company. You take care of your customer. You take care of the people around you. In decisions, you think it through. You won't jump right away from every bridge. But your pitfall could be that you don't do enough self-care. That you help everybody, and at the end of the evening, you sit flabbergasted on the couch and think, oh, hello, I don't have energy anymore to go to the gym, to do something else. Let's do something almost easy food, because I'm even too tired to cook for myself. Now, and I see a little bit nodding in your face, and it's just a generalization I want to make. So as a leader, you're a great leader, because your team will love you. Your team knows you make sensible, reasonable decisions, and you care about them. They also know if somebody is misperforming or not performing, you're not the first one who really will go for the conflict or say, stop it. As we say, the hard talks, the hard discussions are not your favorite one. You would probably postpone them 1 or 2, 3 days, hoping that miraculously it all solves by itself. And when you have to do it, of course, you do it, but that's only when there's more an emotional push that you can't escape it anymore. So you will not proactively solve the discussion or the conflict in a team, but probably a little bit more reactively when you really have to stand up. And maybe then there's a little bit more emotion in the discussion. Mm-hmm. I know it's a massive generalization, but that would say that is just say if you would type your score on a general person. So as a leader, knowing what you know in this and say that is true, then you can say, okay, how could we balance that out? You don't have to change the score. You don't have to become 35, 35, 35 in a score. But knowing this, you can aware, okay, so I follow my heart, I follow my logic, I follow less my gut brain. Now the beauty is, they're not behavioral traits like DISC or MBTI or all this kind of stuff. It's a physical wisdom center. Just like you can learn math, or you live in China, as you learn Chinese, you can train your gut to be more active. It's just, you could say, it's almost like a muscle. It's not really a muscle. You could see your brain as a muscle, but just like a muscle, you can train it. So you can train your gut brain and strengthen your 3 wisdom centers. By strengthening your wisdom center, it gets a louder voice inside you, so it will step up a little bit sooner when needed.
Right.
On that part, as a leader, you can actually train your 3 brains. Because if I ask a leader, say you have a bicep and a tricep, would it make sense only to train your bicep and never your tricep? No leader would say yes. They said, no, you need both muscles, because otherwise you can stretch and flex your arm. Yes. Now the same as with your 3 brains. Just imagine you only would use 2 brains instead of 3 brains. Would you then be the best, dear leader? Now, I never found a leader who says, yes, I will be the best. Probably say, yeah, I'm doing good now. I said, yeah, but you're not doing great. You're not doing amazing. Because you only work on 2 of your 3 engines. And don't explain to me that there's 2 engines, you can win from 3 engines. So in that moment, you can train it. And if you have all 3 of them, you don't have to become more left or right or whatever, head, heart, gut. You can choose what is appropriate. And maybe you still know it from the old days when we were young. And if I say that we have to be careful, you had situational leadership, task-oriented, relationship-oriented. And I don't know as you, I trained people on that 25 years ago.
Yes.
If you put your 3 brains in it, it makes sense. Task-oriented is more gut brain, head brain. Relationship is more heart brain, head brain. Conversational, where you use all of them, is all your 3 brains. And escaping all of it is actually not using your brain. Most using your gut brain, escape the situation based on a fear situation. So to become perfect in situational leadership, you need your three brains on top of it. Now, I hope this answers your question with all the different kind of angles, Wayne.
Very accurate assessment of me, by the way. So thank you for that. So let's come back to the leadership role now. And let's talk more personally about partners. So if we want to build our relationship with our partner, whether it's work relationship, whether it's private relationship, can we start to identify these things from observation without doing the assessment, or should we always do the assessment, understand how to read the assessment, and then make the judgment or the discussion, or can we do this more through observation?
Like you see me laughing, I love that people do the assessment because it gives me more information about people and what are average scores, not average scores connected with the same their job. So based for research, I love to know it. But the beauty is, while I close the door and can still talk, we don't have to do that. We can use actually language to become aware of it.
Okay.
So the moment I say, we have those sentences in English, Chris, Wayne, this is a no-brainer. Which brain is talking on that moment? Your head. And when you say, oh, I cannot digest this proposal you just gave to me, Wayne. I cannot digest the fee you like me to do the coaching. Then my gut brain is talking.
Right.
When you say, Wayne, I really love to work with the people you selected in Spain. Bam, the heart is talking. So in our language, the beauty is to verbalize our heart and our gut talk in sensations. The feeling you have when you're hungry, the feeling you have when you have butterflies in your stomach, the feeling when your stomach is scrunching about something. Those are sensations. To give a meaning to them, based on our nerve systems and other kind of systems, it goes to our beautiful head, because that's freaking amazing. But it's an amazing consultant, analyzer, doctor, psychologist on the same moment. It gets all the sensations inside and says, okay, let's check where I had these sensations before. How could I categorize them in my amazing database of 100,000 million brain cells? It comes to where, this is this. So this crunchy feeling probably means this. Okay, I'm going to say that to Wayne. So I verbalize the words. And the words come out based on that verbalization, connecting with that sensation, but most times it's from our heart or our gut. So we can analyze it. So no, you don't have to do my test. By really start observing the language, you can become aware of it. And so when I do my training for leaders or for coaches, I always say, you only need to do three things. And you see them almost right putting there. Fantastic. Observe.
Right.
And of course, there's more. Is making a connection with the client, so you really feel, say, in all the ICF competences, you feel trustworthy, you make the connection, you make the bonding, you make the rapport, all the kind of blah, blah, blah. But actually, it's observation, what is happening in it.
I know.
And in your personal relationships the same, by the way. I talk about business, but in your personal relationship the same.
I know you studied NLP. I basic level of understanding as well. And in NLP, we also talk about language patterns, right? Connected more, however, to learning styles, the old learning styles. So the visual, audio, kinesthetic. However, very similar to what you're saying, but explaining it differently through the head, heart, and the gut. So yeah, very, very interesting. What about
just to interrupt you in that part, just to give you the answer, but people think, I know NLP, what's the difference? That NLP talks, when we talk about inner dialogue, kinesthetic, they talk about actually sensory systems, how you absorb the environment, how you deal with the environment, the sensory systems. Your heart, your head, your gut are not sensory systems, actually, it's actually the brains that activate your whole body and mind. So via your sensory systems, your submodalities, the information comes in and we make somewhere a decision. So they work together, they're almost together. Yes, they all use language, but their responsibilities are just a little bit different. Okay, please go on. Just clarify that for everybody who knows NLP and thinks, I still have the question, what's happening when?
But in your case, you're talking more interoception, I would guess, right? Rather than the sensory perception. Yeah, so you're talking more internal sensory reaction or response. So, yeah, no, got it. Is there a difference? I'm in my mind answering this question, but I'm probably not right. Is there a difference between adults and children in the way that we identify and observe?
The answer is yes. And you hear me a little bit hesitate.
Yeah.
Because we're all born with a head, heart, and a gut. We all know that.
Yeah.
What most people don't know is the first 3 years of our life, our brain and the connections in our brain, and I mean head brain, are growing with 100,000 connections a minute up to 1 hour, depends on age. So up to the year of 3, our brain is growing faster than bamboo in China.
Yes.
What can do up to 60 centimeters a day. After year 3, a lot of connections get pruned back to make it more organized. If you look at brain waves, up to year 7, kids walk actually in a hypnotic state, if you would say. So their average brain interference is a delta or theta state, what we call sometimes a highly hypnotic state. So they're highly suggestible for all the things that come in. We learn actually last week, at the age of 7. So there is no cause and effect analysis before the age of 7. So actually, when you talk about kids up to years of 7, they can almost say they are sponges who just absorbs the world as it is, without saying this is right, this is wrong. Maybe they say this, but they don't see the connection from what does it mean in the future. After year 7 up to year 12, based on brain waves, they're still in an alpha state on average. That's a lightly suggestible state. That's a state we are in when we watch a soccer game with our mouths open. Or just in a relaxed state of meditation. After year 12, the brain is fully functional, the head brain, in all the modalities of brain waves, as they say. So if you look at kids, they have a progression, say how their head brain is actually operating. And if you think about it, Wayne, what is the first recollection of your memory you have? What's your age? What can you still remember of your childhood? What's the age?
I've asked this question many times, but I don't know whether it's my own recollection or somebody reminded me. So it was somewhere around 4 years.
Now I had these fingers already up. Because on average, we don't have a memory in our head before the age of 3 or 4, based on, say, the pruning away. It does not mean that before the year 4, our education is important. If you look at insecure attachment, how you're attached with your parents, how secure are they in their yes and no's, has a massive impact on how you deal with anxiety, bonding, and connection, and later on with your life. Actually, how your heart brain and gut brain are actually being trained. So to make that answer, is a massive difference between young kids, teenagers, and adults, how the 3 brains operate. And now there's one extremely important thing. Before the age of 7, according to a lot of research, all your basic patterns of bonding, connection, dealing with conflict are actually ingrained already also in your heart and gut. Your gut from how do I take care of myself, your heart, how do I bond with my caregivers. And after that, our mind, of course, starts getting it inside. It does not mean school and relationships aren't important, but they're only important when there's a highly impactful event, a horrible teacher, a breakup, bullying, whatever. Then there's a massive impact that can override some of your systems. But as the Jesuit, the religious things already said hundreds of years ago. Give us a person under the age of 7, and we show you what kind of person it become later. Give us a child just born, we raise in the first 7 years, and you get whatever you want. And based on that old knowledge, actually how we deal now. So it's also an outcry what I'm saying here. How do we educate actually in schools our children, and also we as parents? Do we train their 3 brains or only not their 3 brains? How do we that later? Because we can do so much good if we would educate them more on 3 brains instead of only on 1, actually 2 brains, gut and head brain. Our head brain gets stuffed with all kind of knowledge at school. Reading, writing, math. The gut brain get the highest ranks and numbers and marks you can get. That'd be the best in class. And our social connection, our heart brain, is trained the less. And then we are surprised where we started with that toxic leadership is so massively, that disengagement in companies is so massively and growing. Now, actually, it grows more and more the less we train our heart brain. And where is, if you're looking cost cutting in schools, which curriculum is cut the first? Dance, art, social work, doing things together. Everything that has to do with the heart brain is cut first because it's not tangible. It's soft skills. It's baba. But later in life, it's the most important thing we can have. And I would say, if I'm not religious, but in Spain, I would now say amen. Or namaste. The preacher, this is work.
But that's very interesting, and we see it then flow through not only in school but through into the corporate world. What I'm always fascinated by and curious by is we're continuously evolving with our knowledge. So the more research and the more technology advances, we are continually learning new things. And I'm wondering, do you have a feeling about where we are heading as humans for the future? Like with this new knowledge where we've got the 3 brains, we're learning how they can align and work more harmoniously and the impact that can have. The question would be, is it all too little too late as we head towards AI and singularity? Or is it just in time? I don't know. That's a very broad question, I know.
Yeah, that's a big question. Okay. First of all, I'm an extreme optimist. If you look at our 6, 7, 10,000 years on this earth as human beings, if I say more involved, as you would say, we had a lot of ups and downs. We had in the Middle Ages in Europe, we had the Dark Age. And we really were not a smart ass on that moment. Before that, we had the Roman Empire, we had the French Revolution. Now, I think we're not too late. I would say you're never too late. I love sports. You're never too late. You're never too late until the referee whistles on his thing as the game is over. The game is not over. Artificial intelligence is freaking amazing. 30 years ago, the first chess computers were launched, or maybe 40 years ago, and they would say they will overtake the world sooner or later. Chess computers are smarter than humans. Still, humans now can win from a chess computer 40 years onwards. So IE is scary, but can be extremely useful if you use it the right way. And yes, jobs will get lost, because if you would go, say, just imagine you had a trial. You would go to a lawyer. Your lawyer around the corner did 5 years of law and is 10 years in business, read a lot of books. And you go to IE, who read all the freaking books of all your country, so all the law cases of all your country, and can give you actually which law cases would be beneficial for you. To whom would you go? IE. So your research work is done by IE. But if you're standing in front of the jury, would you like to have a computer there or a person who can smell the room? Because what we have as humans is our 3 brains. Our sensory systems are not only, say, touch and smell. We are based on energy, and if you look at energy worlds, quantum physics, we're all energy. How many times did you enter a room, Wayne, and you actually smelled the atmosphere and say, hey, there was a fight going on here, there was a discussion here, or there was a happy serious here. You did not smell the room, you sense the energy systems there. Now, IE can never do that. So it can never smell the jury. It can never smell the judge. So there, a human being will always be perfect. Will it overtake your plane? Yes, but the plane is already overtaken by IE, already for 10, 20 years.
Oh.
The automatic pilot is actually artificial intelligence, but nobody calls it like that. Now everything is artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
The automatic pilot was already that. So no, it will not. The only thing is we have to use it smart. And of course, we're now in the part of it, so we make mistakes. But every child that learns to walk falls down 1,000 times. So yes, we will mistakes. Yes, it will be used against us. Yes, it will be used in front of us. The only thing we should pray and hope for that our lawmakers, our governments, will put the right law and order in that. If you look now, says the social media, you're already 10 years too late for that.
Mm.
I hope they will do so, but I hope they will learn. But IE will bring a massive, profound speed in a lot of things we can do.
Yeah.
So human mistakes in research will be done less. So we will use different kind of knowledge. Do is always speak in every post coaches. If I like to know how the grow model works, I can use IE for that. But if I really like to train myself on grow, then I need you, Wayne, because you see my non-verbal communication, you see my eye blink, you see my sweat coming out. You come aware that I swallow when I like to say something, you see me moving backwards. And based on all those sensory systems, you have an idea, Chris does not feel somewhere secure in this. I don't know why, but I smell it. He's not secure. And you ask, hey, Chris, how secure are you with this grow model? And you hear me say, I am. You say, what does it mean? Yeah, I know it, but I don't feel it. And that's where the coach steps in. And that makes the massive difference.
Right.
IE can never replace that. Do you ever see IE overtaking a soccer coach? Nope.
I doubt to the extent your example of the lawyer was a great example, because that highlights the difference between the two. I'm wondering.
And there's one last thing, and just to add on that, because this was technical. Our heart has something that we sometimes forget. That's courage. That is sacrificing yourself for the bigger good. I.e., so just that soldier in Ukraine on this moment, but still goes on, although it knows the odds are not the best. How can you program ever IE to follow courage? Because courage is not logical. How do you explain the woman that jumps in front of the car to save her kid? IE would not do that because statistically it's not wise. So IE will always work somewhere on statistics, but courage, living for the greater good, following your passion. How do you explain IE follow your passion? Because passion is something that's in your heart, connected with your gut, connected with your whole viewing. IE will never do that. So in that part, the real human jobs where courage, passion, intention, connection is needed, IE will never overcome it. Yes, it will do the basic things by blinking his eyes and giving us a smile. But if you read the book, How Emotions Are Made from Lisa Barrett-Feldman, you come aware emotions are constructed. And actually, all the tests to read a face only have 40% of predictability in it. 60% is always wrong. Because the standard icons in emotions and facial expressions is not true. Okay, now we'll stop, otherwise I take all your time, Wayne.
So, I mean,
bottom line, don't be afraid, use it.
Yeah, for sure. If I'm a leader now listening to the conversation, as a wrap-up answer to the bigger topic, how do I utilize the knowledge coming out of this conversation to become more effective as a leader? So what do I do? How do I start to utilize this?
I always start say, it's extremely easy and everybody can do it. It does not mean you only have to ask 3 questions. What I'm now going to do, is it logical? What I'm now going to do, is my heart in it? And if I'm not going to do, is my gut in it? To ask it in a different question, say I would think this through, what would be my answer? Say I would follow my heart, what would I do? Say I would follow my gut feeling, what would I do? And those last 3 answers give you an insight, am I aligned or get I different answers? And most people are asked this question, they come aware they have different answers, or they say, I don't know what my heart will do, I don't feel it. Okay, so that's why I follow my gut. So they follow one of their brains, or they follow the logic, or maybe they just follow their heart. In your case, I'm coming back to your case, probably you would easier know what the answer is in following your heart. Probably you will easier know what the answer is on what would I do if I think this through. And you would hesitate a little bit if I say, what would you do if you would follow your gut feeling? And even if you verbalize it, then you would feel, yeah, but I cannot do that, Chris. That's really egocentric. There could be a lot of judgments following on that, based on your internal progressing. So for every leader, just ask the 3 questions and come aware what is happening. Put those answers in front of you and start observing them from a 3rd position.
Very nice.
And then call Wayne if you like to have some more coaching on it, or me.
You may have to sign up for a coaching session, I think. So, Christoffel, fantastic conversation. We've only just scratched the surface, of course, and as expected, but like there's so much that we can still learn and are starting to learn about how we function as humans. And now that we have the 3 brains, the sky's the limit about what we're going to learn about ourselves, as well as our teams, our partners, our companies. So where do people go to connect with you to learn more about what you're doing?
Okay, of course, I have a Dutch name, so it's extremely hard to Google, but Christoffel Sneijders, and you find me. Otherwise, you type in 3 Brains Intelligence or 3 Brains Academy, and you find me. Just easy. Google 3 Brains Intelligence, Google 3 Brains Academy, and you find me. As you know, if you do my test, I offer to everybody a 15 minutes free of no strings attached feedback. Because if I can help somebody to become better, it means he or she will do a better job as a leader or as a coach, means his or her team will become better, they will become more 3-brain aligned, and at the end, our world becomes a little bit better. We coaches are a little drop in the ocean, but we know the ocean was filled by little drops of rain.
Very, very philosophical. The test, by the way, is free, so for any of the listeners.
Yeah, also that, yes.
Anyone that's listening that's curious, please check it out. We'll link to it in the show notes, of course. And Christoffel, all the best for continued studies. Do you have anything else in the pipeline you're working on at the moment? Are you working on?
Yes, I'm actually working on book 3, and let's say a book that would say, because my first one's more about relationships.
Right.
Everybody is somewhere in a relationship. The third one will be more say about personal leadership, hence leadership. What does it mean for me? And you can reflect it, say, for us as coach and us as leader, hey, how can I use it? So it will be much more say business-wise oriented, with the idea that and that's the biggest challenge, to make it a short, plain, readable book. As one of my friends said, Chris, make it so that if you step in the plane, if you step out of the plane, you read it, so you know it. Because that will encourage most people to read it and think van, so you just have to skip 75% of your knowledge. I said, oh, make it happen.
That's like the ultimate challenge for every writer, is to make it succinct and in 2 or 3 glasses of red wine.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're Madrid, that will be the case, Wayne.
Fantastic. Well, Christoffel, we need to wrap it up, but been wonderful having you on the show, and excellent conversation. I really hope our listeners take a lot away from it and go and do some further research with you. Thank you very much for being on the ET project.
Thank you so much for hosting this, and I wish you all the best, Wayne, because I know you're doing so much good for the world.
So what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button below and click on the bell icon so I can pop up in your feed occasionally with a great tip for your ultimate growth.